So, I'm again reading through the Gnostic Gospels, and they talk about this world, but also other worlds. Huh? No. And they think they're seeing lights in the sky move around, right? Or vehicles of some sort, right? That they can't explain, right? Now, like I told you, though, from the fall to the flood, right? Like Satan before them, right? The Watchers, also called angels, right? Also mentioned in the book of Enoch, right? And they have a leader, right? The leader is a real rebel, but you can also call him by many names too, like God, right? God is El Elyon, right? Or El Shaddai. And Shad and Shade are close in the Hebrew, right? One means a demon, and one refers to God's chest, right? Versus ours. Now, another thing is the breastplate in the priest and on the temple, right? That extends his chest out a little bit, don't it? A few inches, anyway. Wonder why? Wonder why? And he was called El Shaddai before this, right? But by his name, Yud He Vav He or Yud He Wahi, was he not known? Right, right. So, this is Exodus 6. Oh, 19, 4, 5, 6, verse 3. But by my name, Yud He Wahe or Yud He Vavi, was I not known, right? Now, whoever authored the Old Testament, especially in the law or the Torah, from chapter 2 on, in chapter 1, he's called Elohim, right? And he says to a group, let us, still implies more than one, and a plural form, right? Father, Son, and Holy Ghost is not a plural form. Why? You can't have a son without a mother, right? And you need something to form a body from, whether it's a star or the planet, right, itself, right? Now, the angels in heaven, right, and the ministers who work with them are spoken of as flames of fire. So is the sun, right? The sun is just a bunch of controlled nuclear reactions within the hemisphere, the circularity or the sphere of the sun itself, right? And for years, scientists have been looking into how it works, right? In fact, shortly after that, they came up with splitting the atom and things like that, right? That's where we got nuclear warheads from, right? They also read some of the Hindu scriptures, right? And found out about Vishnu and all that, and Krishna, right? And some of the wars they fought, right? Before the flood, right? See, the thing about a flood is it don't play favorites, right? When one happens, it either affects all or it don't happen at all, right? Now, the Ice Age, right, those several thousand years before now, right? Like I said, we don't know the actual timeline, right? But that could explain some of it, right? And if also they think a meteor besides that, right? The one that killed the dinosaurs off too, right? Also struck the Earth before the end of the last ice age as well. Which, like I said, when you have that kind of an impact, first the sun and the moon and the stars are blocked out by what? Dirt, dust in the air. Why? Because any explosion, when you hit land, right, it causes debris from the wreckage or the impact, right, to go up into the what? Atmosphere. Right. So anyway, right. So a few good minutes on today. So I'm doing this too, right? But like I said, Jesus is speaking about worlds and then this world and then, right? So he's having to manage more than one problem here, right? Maybe.
Officers. Is that right?
Yes.
The platoon commander, Lieutenant Jonathan Kendrick, and the executive officer, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Markinson.
Yes.
And at present, Colonel Markinson is dead. Is that right?
Objection. I'd like to know just what the defense counsel is implying.
I'm implying simply that at present, Colonel Markinson is not alive.
Surely Colonel Jessup doesn't need to appear in this courtroom to confirm that information.
I just wasn't sure if the witness is aware that 2 days ago the colonel took his own life with a .45 caliber pistol.
The witness is aware, the court is aware, and now the court members are aware. We thank you for bringing this to our attention. Move on, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir. Colonel, at the time of this meeting, you gave Lieutenant Kendrick an order. Is that right?
I told Kendrick to tell his men that Santiago wasn't to be touched.
And did you give an order to Colonel Markinson as well?
I ordered Markinson to have Santiago transferred off the base immediately.
Why?
I felt his life might be in danger once word of the letter got out.
Grave danger?
Is there another kind?
Colonel, we have the transfer order that you and Colonel Markinson co-signed ordering that Santiago be on a flight leaving Guantanamo at 6 the next morning. Was that the first flight off the base?
The 0600 was the first flight off the base.
Oh, you flew up to Washington earlier this morning, is that right?
Yes.
I noticed you're wearing your Class A dress uniform for your appearance in court today.
As are you, Lieutenant.
Did you wear that uniform?
Come in.
Is this dialogue relevant to anything?
The defense didn't have an opportunity to oppose this witness, Your Honor. I'd ask the court for a little latitude.
You have very little latitude.
Colonel,
I wore utilities on the plane.
you brought your dress uniform with you.
Yes.
Toothbrush, shave,
Hey, Shane, can
change
you
of underwear.
Your Honor.
Is the colonel's underwear a matter of national security?
turn it to this off, turn some off.
Get somewhere fast.
Okay.
You go back up.
Yes, sir.
Put it in
Colonel?
your car.
Yeah, let me get dressed.
All right, this
I
is
brought a change of clothes
Okay.
and some personal items.
Thank you. After Dawson and Downey's arrest on the night of the 6th, Santiago's barracks room was sealed off and its contents inventoried. 4 pairs of camouflage pants, 3 long-sleeve khaki shirts, 3 pairs of boots, 4 pairs of green socks, 3 OD green t-shirts.
Please, the court, is there a question anywhere in our future?
Lieutenant Cathy, I have to ask you to state your question.
I'm wondering why Santiago wasn't packed. Tell you what, we'll get back to that one in a minute. This is a record of all telephone calls made from your base in the past 24 hours. After being subpoenaed to Washington, you made 3 calls. You highlighted those calls in yellow. Do you recognize those numbers, sir?
I called Colonel Fitzhughes in Quantico, Virginia. I wanted to let him know that I would be in town. The second call was to arrange a meeting with Congressman Richmond of the House Armed Services Committee. And the third call was to my sister, Elizabeth.
Why did you make that call, sir?
I thought you might like to have dinner tonight.
Your Honor, I'm gonna put a stop to this.
Your Honor, these are telephone records from Gitmo for September 6th. And these are 14 letters that Santiago wrote in 9 months, requesting, in fact begging for a transfer. Upon hearing the news that he was finally getting his transfer, Santiago was so excited that do you know how many people he called? 0. Nobody. Not one call to his parents saying he was coming home. Not one call to a friend saying, can you pick me up at the airport? He was asleep in his bed at midnight, and according to you, he was getting on a plane in 6 hours. Yet everything he owned was hanging neatly in his closet and folded neatly in his footlocker. You were leaving for 1 day. You packed a bag and made 3 phone calls. Santiago was leaving for the rest of his life. And he hadn't called a soul. And he hadn't packed a thing. Can you explain that? The fact is, there was no transfer order. Santiago wasn't going anywhere. Isn't that right, Colonel?
Objection, Your Honor. It's obvious that Lieutenant Caffey's intention this afternoon is to smear a high-ranking Marine officer in the desperate hope that the mere appearance of impropriety will win him points with the court members. Now, it's my recommendation, sir, that Lieutenant Caffey be reprimanded for his conduct and the witness be excused with the court's deepest apologies.
Overruled.
Your Honor.
The objection is noted.
Colonel? Is this funny, sir?
No, it's not. It's tragic.
Do you have an answer?
Absolutely. My answer is I don't have the first damn clue. Maybe he was an early riser and liked to pack in the morning. And maybe he didn't have any friends. I'm an educated man, but I'm afraid I can't speak intelligently about the travel habits of William Santiago. What I do know is that he was set to leave the base at 0600. Now, are these really the questions that I was called here to answer? Phone calls and footlockers? Please tell me that you have something more, Lieutenant. These 2 Marines are on trial for their lives. Please tell me that their lawyer hasn't pinned their hopes to a phone bill. Do you have any other questions for me, Counselor?
Lieutenant Caffey. Lieutenant, do you have anything further for this witness?
Thanks, Danny. I love Washington.
Excuse me. I didn't dismiss you.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not through with my examination. Sit down.
Colonel,
What's that?
I'd appreciate if you would address me as Colonel or Sir. I believe I've earned it.
Defense counsel will address the witness as Colonel or Sir.
I don't know what the hell kind of unit you're running here.
The witness will address this court as Judge or Your Honor. I'm quite certain I've earned it. Take your seat, Colonel.
This ancient aliens is back with